Good deal. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Rubel Museum here in Washington, D.C. for the introductory press conference for the newest member of the Washington Wizards, Felix Okpara. Thank you to everyone who was able to make it today, and to those who are watching us live on YouTube. My name is Chase Hughes. I'm a broadcaster for Monumental Sports Network and the Washington Wizards. Sitting here at the podium is Felix Okpara, the 46th pick in the 2026 draft out of Tennessee, who was an SEC All-Defense selection last season. Felix is joined by General Manager of the Wizards, Will Dawkins. Felix, this is an incredible accomplishment for you and for your family, and thanks to your family for being here. I think this is an exciting time for a young player to join the Wizards, and I think it goes beyond the obvious. Last year, we learned a couple things. One is that draft order can be a little bit overrated around here. We've seen late first-round picks and second-round picks exceed expectations very quickly. We've also seen that the player development plan is working. And it reminds me of a press conference 3 years ago when Will and team president Michael Winger introduced themselves to the city. They said that player development would be extremely important, but it takes time to prove that. You gotta get players in, staff in, you gotta prescribe the work, they have to do the work, and then you have to wait time to see the fruits of that labor. We saw the fruits of that labor last year, and it's provided a tangible blueprint for a young player like Felix. Before we get to some questions, and I'll have a few to start us off, I'd like to turn things over to Will for an opening statement.
Thanks, Chase. Thank you all for joining us. Oh, mic's on now. Good. Thanks to the Rubel family as well for this museum, a place for us to gather today. Got a little bit of time to go around, but they really have an inspiring just background story when you kind of do the research on how they built this. Just fighting the different constraints that they had to fight, betting on ascending talent, finding different ways to create your own advantages. I would say that that's something that resonates with our organization as well. So we're happy that they were able to host us. Like you said, Chase, we do pride ourselves in player development, and while also balancing, I would say, being early, finding guys that have upside and you can play the long game with. And that's exactly what we feel like we found here with Felix. We're excited to add him as the newest player to that player development for us. I think he's felt it, but the last 4 days have been really incredible for us, being able to draft in the first round and the second round, and just the district debut. It was really awesome yesterday. Like, our fans are supporting us right now, and they're getting behind these players, and they showed up. A few of them made sure they played assistant GM and gave me a few suggestions on what we should do in free agency, but they're all involved. They're excited. Felix and his family literally hopped off the plane and went straight there to the district debut and got together with the community, so that just shows you how important it is to him. Fortunately, we have one more today where we get to go to the court dedication for John Wall, and a special moment down the street, and we'll be able to participate in that with some of the local campers as well. And he'll block a couple kids' shots just like he did in the SEC all year, so that'll be fun. But again, we're excited to add the person, not just the basketball player. And we've had so many touch points with him, starting going to practices, going to his pro day, going to all the games during the year, spending time at the PIT, taking the dinners, going to the combine, the visit, and each time he just kept getting better and better and kind of showing who he was as a person. And we knew that he was someone that we wanted to add to the organization. And fortunately, Orlando was able to make a deal that we were able to move up and go get our guy. And we feel really, really good about that. But I also want to make sure while we're here, before you get started, we thank and we welcome the people that helped you get here, and your family and your representation and everybody that supported you. So I'll give a quick round of applause for everybody that supported him. You guys can ask us anything about basketball, but we know we're adding somebody, another long, athletic, versatile defender who's a two-way player and brings things on the offensive end as well. So he's someone we believe in. He's someone who wants to work, and he's someone who we believe the best basketball is in front of him. So we officially welcome Felix to the Washington Wizards and the DC family today. So welcome, Felix.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
A couple questions from me before we open it up. Felix, I saw the video of you on draft night, And first of all, it looked like a great venue. You're on the rooftop. The weather's nice. Friends and family. It looked like a great time. And it also looked like it was a pretty emotional, special moment for you. So just what was going through your mind as you learned that you were being drafted into the NBA and that you were going to join the Wizards?
Man, it was exciting. I keep saying it was a surreal moment. And I was just happy to have family around and people who was, helped me throughout my whole process, just be around and just support me. And just hear my name called, I think it's every kid's dream, and it was magical. And I told him I didn't sleep all night, and I was up, I couldn't believe it. Well, I'm just excited to be in a good place, good city, just be around good people and just get better.
That's awesome. And Will, going back to something you said a while ago, you said right after you took over, we'll kind of notice that you have a type, that there are certain players that you guys like. What makes Felix a good fit as a player and as a person to be a Washington Wizard?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the person. The work ethic, the humility, the way he kind of goes about it. When you go watch them practice, his energy, his effort, the connectability pops out. But on the basketball floor, obviously, offensively, when you commit to someone like Trae Young, who's been elite at helping bigs find the ball in the air and play out a pick and roll, you feel really good about him putting pressure on the rim. His elite ability on the offensive rebounding, to just create extra possessions. He's going to bring that right away while continuing to develop on that end. And then defensively, just adding more length, more versatility, more rim protection. We talked about being a more defensive team, and he's going to help us do that.
That's great. Now we'll begin the Q&A portion, and we'll start with Josh Robbins of The Athletic.
Thank you. Felix, we understand that one of the sports you played when you were younger was soccer.
Yeah.
How does that impact what you do on the basketball court?
Obviously soccer was good for footwork, and I think on the basketball court, I feel like the speed aspect I kind of translate. It's just a lot of movement in soccer too, a lot of running. And, I think most underrated thing about soccer is, it can get physical too. So I didn't grow up playing American football, so soccer was my way of, just getting physical and just being physical on the basketball court.
Hey, Felix, over on this side, Alex Sloan with DC News Now. Welcome to DC. How familiar are you with Alex Sarr's game, and how excited are you to come in and, learn from a rising young center in this league?
Man, he's I know he's a defensive force, really good shot blocker, can make shots. Just excited to play against on the big guy. I love playing against, playing with, all the big guys, just having length on the court, so he's a good passer, and we're going to complement each other if we ever step foot on the court together.
Christy Winter-Scott, Monumental Sports Network. What do you feel the transferable entities of being a staunch defender will be in the NBA? That's a focus and attention to detail, but how do you think that will carry over from college to the pros for you?
Man, I think my own thing, my whole career, my whole basketball, personnel has always come about being competitive. I like being competitive. I don't like getting punked, so I think that's the most important thing. I know I'm gonna compete. I think the physical aspect. I'm definitely going to my body and putting some more weight, and that's the next goal in the state. In my process. But definitely, I feel like I can translate blocking shots. Being competitive and rebounding.
Felix over here. Amr Gafir from Wizards Roundtable. You mentioned that you got a chance to meet with the Wizards front office through the pre-draft process. What were some of your impressions, your takeaways of the Wizards? And I'm sure it's brief, but what are some of the interactions with some of your new teammates been like so far?
Man, it's been exciting. When I came here for my pre-draft, it was. I just felt like it was a family over here, and that's what I've always been looking for in an organization I want to be at, or wherever I want to be at, just a place where everyone looks at everyone as a family, and everyone get treated the same way. And just I met a couple of the guys, they're pretty cool, and I can't wait to build a good relationship with them.
Hi, Felix. Karita Parks with Double Take Sports. You are from Nigeria, and you've talked about inspiring kids back home. Now that you're officially in the NBA, what's your message for youth back home, and what do you want them to take away from your journey?
Keep dreaming. I've always been a big dreamer, and when I started this whole process, it all looked like a fairy tale to people's eyes. And I think if you manifest anything, you're gonna get it. And I think if you dream big, and put on the work and discipline, I think you can achieve anything you want.
Hey Felix, Ben Stroper with the Locked On Wizards podcast. Some of the film that I saw of you so far consisted of you switching out on the perimeter on some quicker guards in the SEC. Yeah. How would you assess your ability to do so here at the next level as well?
I think that's it's definitely quicker guards in the NBA, and that's something that's gonna come with scouting and just a love practicing too. I think for me, I try to, when I switch on guards, try to contain instead of being aggressive. It also depends on the kind of player you're switching on to too. I think it's all gonna come with time.
Yeah, and I would just add to that. You guys know how difficult it is to play in the NBA and the different coverages you have to throw. You can't just stay on one thing at a time. And we have a defensive metric that we kind of create during the pre-draft process for players that create the model. And he was scored really, really high in our internal defensive metric, and that includes the ability to switch, the ability to get steals and block shots without fouling. And those are the things you look for in young activity players. So he checked the box at that. Obviously, he's SEC all-defensive team for a reason, and probably, I think, the year before led the SEC in blocks percentage. But being able to switch and versatility just gives another tool for coach to throw out there.
Hey, Will. Way in the back. Henry J. Brown, Wizards on SI. Between 7 first-round picks and 3 seconds over the last 4 drafts, you talked about Felix checking boxes. How do the boxes that you want to check depend based on the pick you've made, and how much between the first overall pick and number 46? What different analysis are you using?
Yeah, you could ask all of our amateur scouts, and we come together at the beginning of every season. And Amber kind of leads the meeting, and it's, hey, what are we looking for in our players? Is anything different and consistent? And we have specific Wizards traits that we look for off the court: the humility piece, the togetherness, the teamwork, the work ethic, the passion. Like, that's the type of culture we're trying to drive. He checks all those boxes, as well as AJ. And then we have the 94 by 50, and that's specific things that we want our team to look like. We want to double down on. And, of course, he checks the boxes on a lot of those in terms of positional size, versatility, length, athleticism, just motor, toughness. I think you see young teams having success in the league because they've been together for a few years and they have continuity. So of those 4 years, I think we kind of set the tone with Bilal. He was kind of the first one that kind of showed we're going to have some defensive impact in size and length and play on both ends, and it's kind of continued to go from there. So we're happy to add him, and I think he fits in pretty well, and we're just double down on that type of stuff.
Felix, just a quick follow-up. You and AJ are coming in together. What are you most excited about when it comes to playing with him, but also the other young players on the Wizards roster?
I'm just excited. He's a really exciting player. One talent. Just excited for him to do his thing, and just me being the guy who can help him try this whole process and just be there. When he try this process, and I think I can really do a good job with him. Just getting him open and just getting shots. Just get him in the right spots.
And then playing alongside the other players on the Wizards roster.
Man, it's going to be exciting. I think for me, my big thing on this team is going to be just being a defensive guy, and on the offensive side, just playing hard and just staying out of the way and just getting rebounds.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it at dinner a little bit last night. We brought everybody together, family representation, about how it takes time to build what you want to build, but you got to be working on the right things. And as a team, I think we were top 5 in shot blocks last year, and we want to be known as teams that put pressure on the rim. And he does it on both ends with his elite offensive rebounding skill set, but also being able to protect the rim. So we're just double down on that, and you have Alex and AD and guys that can finish at the rim, but also protect the rim. That's important to us.
Hey, Felix. Brian Albin, Wizards Radio Network. Between your time in the Big Ten and in the SEC, you went up against a lot of bigs that are now in the league. So how did those games, do you feel, prepare you for this level, and what did you maybe learn from those matchups about how you want your game to evolve?
Just how physical you can get, and how much physical I got to play, how much stronger I need to get. It's 2 different leagues. Big Ten was more physical league, and SEC was just more quicker bigs. And just having a little bit of both, and just whatever I can be matched up with different kind of players in different games. Just having a little bit of both, how to guard them.
Hey, Felix, back here again. At Tennessee, you played with Nate Ament, who's from this area. You also played with Jacoby Gillespie, who spent a year here. Have they told you anything about the DMV in the last couple of days? Did they have any advice for you yet?
Just a little bit, but I'm gonna definitely reach out to them more and just they definitely know some good areas around here, and it's exciting. Just have known people, stayed around there, and just I know I can fit in good too.
Hey, Felix. Henry again. Soon you're going to be playing with Trae Young. How do you envision you guys making each other's lives easier on the court?
Man, it's gonna be exciting. You obviously know I love catching lobs, and I like dunking the ball. So it's gonna be exciting, just getting off that screen. And I think the first ever lob I'm gonna catch is you might see a big smile on my face. And
Mine too.
So I'm really excited for that. I can't wait.
I love the sound of that. We're going to have some time for one-on-ones, but first, some pictures and the jersey presentation.
Okay.